Okay, so my question is based around my fear of rejection and abandonment. Uh, and I'd like to have you help me figure out if it's based in reality or imagination. So, what can I do to be more aware of what's really going on inside of me? Because I am aware that it is what's going on inside of me that's allowing me to follow that train of anxiety.
Mm.
And with that said, how can I get to a place of trusting not another person, but myself, my feelings?
Okay, before you say anything else, I'll just make a comment about what you've already said. Okay. I
Okay.
thought because I want this may apply to you and may apply to others. I thought what you were going to say was, how can I get to a place where I can trust that I'm not going to get rejected or abandoned, right? But you ended it in a little better place, because that really wasn't what you're asking. Because actual strength is this primarily in a dating context? That's what my screen says. Does this come up in dating?
Yes, it does. And just a really quick blurb from past, I'll call it trauma, from abandonment from childhood parent, as well as a long-term marriage. Yeah.
Okay.
And
right.
rejection and abandonment. Yeah.
Okay, so when somebody takes that history into dating, then what can happen is, for a number of reasons, it's hard to feel comfortable getting close to somebody because you fear the abandonment, as you said, and the rejection. And so sometimes people say, well, how can I know that they won't abandon me or reject me? You can't, and that's not the answer in dating, right? Because dating is about getting abandoned and rejection and rejected. It's shopping. I mean, you're going to meet a lot of different kinds of people, and you're still dating. So that a dating relationship
totally agree.
could end. So we can't have the cure.
I agree. Totally.
Good, because then if you didn't agree, this is what a lot of people do. If they didn't agree, then from the first date, they get really clingy, right? They get really clingy, and then they drive the person away.
Yes.
So you don't want to do that.
Yes.
All right. So
no.
So the first thing in the dating thing that I would say is you got to kind of train yourself. I'm just dating, and this I'm just getting to know this person. This I might end it, he might end it, until it gets to a certain place where you're kind of committed to not doing that. So having said that, here's what's happening, as you rightly understood, that you've had a history and I'm going to go away from dating to primary. You've had a history of being abandoned in primary relationships, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And
Very
who would
correct.
that be?
Yes.
Both of your parents were alcoholics?
Both parents.
Both.
One was an alcoholic, and one disappeared. When I say disappeared at the age of 7.
Wow. Which one disappeared at 7?
My father.
Your father. Okay. So,
yes.
So here's what's happened, right? You've, the deepest thing that builds a human is their ability to bond, and to attach, and to find security in our primary attachments. That's where I use that word primary again, okay? Because that's how we're designed.
Yeah.
Human security comes from relationship with God, relationship with primary others. Primary. In other words, when you see a kid and they have a secure attachment at home, they go out on the playground. Well, if Johnny out there rejects them, what do? They go, Johnny's an idiot. And they run back home and they go, Mommy, Daddy, Johnny's an idiot. Because they're not afraid of Johnny abandoning them and they're rejecting, and that the lights are going to go out, because they got a secure attachment, a primary attachment at home. Right?
Yes.
So here's what happens. People are growing up And the relationship that's supposed to become the primary safe bubble of life, that gets drunk and passed out when you need her, it sounds like, or he up and
Yeah.
leaves, never to come back. And so the deepest parts of you are asking, is my primary security going to leave me or not? And I'm afraid it is. And
Yeah.
when I get
Yep.
afraid, I do things, right? And then I get scared, and then my
Mm-hmm.
system gets scared, and then it gets all amped up. Well, then you go into dating, because there's still that unanswered primary question, a dating relationship comes along, and all that gets transferred onto this person or these few people, and then it gets replayed, and your system starts to replay it again. So
Yep.
we got to stop that cycle. Now, how do you stop the cycle? Well, you go back to what the real problem is. And the real problem is, at a deep level in your soul, you don't feel grounded in some primary security building connections. So if we could roll the clock back and have you be a little baby again and go in there and rattle your parents' brain and say, be there for this child, then we could do that way. But we can't do that, right? So now what we got to
Right.
do is we got to take the little girl you and put her in some current day primary attachments that aren't at risk for leaving you. And this is why, for example, a good long-term therapeutic relationship is important. This is why, going back to the beginning of the program, when I said a very few close circle of friends that are there for you no matter what, that, as the proverb said, that they stick closer than a brother. And this is where, like, a small group could be. And in that context, then what you've got to do is you've got to bring out all these fears, and you got to talk about them. And as they are there for you in the fear, your system's going to calm down. You're going to get healed. And then when you go out and venture in these other places, when that fear starts to boil up, then you're going to be able to talk to it differently. Because if you get rejected on the playground, you got your peeps back here, and you're going to run to them and cry, and they're going to put you back together. And gradually you're going to get more and more and more and more and more secure. So remember this, a relational woundedness has got to be resolved by a relational cure. And what a lot of people do is they just try to talk themselves out of this. And that's not how it came about, and that's not how it's going to be cured. So that's what I would encourage you to do. And in the meantime, when you're out there, I do want you talking to yourself and saying, when you start to get scared, go, so what if they reject me? It's fine. I'm going to be okay. And depowerize those thoughts, similar to what I was saying to Don.
Yeah. And Dr. Cloud, I think I've numbed myself to rejection, so I'm really not afraid of that. I'm afraid of myself making the decision that they are going to reject me unfairly to them because of my fears.
Well, you might have numbed it and then you don't feel it, but it's getting to your brain and causing you to have strategic defensive patterns against it. So it might be numb, but it's not dead. Right.
Okay.
And so that's exactly what I just said. I want you to go back into, like, with a therapist and a few people in this, and unnumb it. Let it come out and let yourself be vulnerable and say, I got to tell you guys, I need you, and I'm afraid if I need you that you're going to leave me. And you let that play out there where they're going to be there for you. But just because you numb something doesn't mean it goes away. In fact, it hasn't gone away. It's talking to your brain and saying, make sure you reject this person before they reject you. Right?
Yeah. Okay. Yes. That is it. That is it. And because even in you saying, let yourself become vulnerable, I can feel the sensitivity and the fear, like, uh-oh, really? I got to do that? I can do that.
Well, you know what?
If it gets me through it. Yeah.
Okay. You feel that fear right now when you talk about it?
Yeah. I do.
Okay. Describe it to me.
It's sad. It's very
Yeah.
hurtful to my, it makes me feel insecure
Exactly.
or not enough.
Now, see, as you're feeling that, we just have a little moment of it here. As you're feeling it, and you're telling me about it, okay, and we're naming it, okay, you start to talk about it. How do you feel? How do you feel right now?
Not enough. I don't know how to get to a place of being enough for somebody not to walk away.
And that would make anybody scared. If we had to be enough, what's enough? We never. Can you imagine a little child saying, "Oh my gosh, I better be enough for mommy not to walk away"? How the hell are they ever going to accomplish being enough?
But that is what I grew up with. Always try harder, always do better, but
Yes,
it's never
yeah.
enough.
It's never enough.
Yeah.
So as you're talking about that fear, I want you to just notice something. This is just a little example. You notice something. You're talking about that fear. You're not performing for me, right? You're being afraid. In fact,
Right.
you're being vulnerable. Okay, now I and all of us, we're still here. Right? Can you notice that?
Yep.
My opinion of you
I
hasn't
do.
changed any. Okay, now what does that feel like when you notice that?
Different. I guess different.
Different.
Different on a more positive side. Yeah, different. I'm not sure if I know how to label that.
You don't have to label
Yeah.
it. You're exactly right. And see, this is what happens to children. They develop insecurity when the one they need leaves them. Children ask, their brain asks, what did I do wrong? What can I do better to make that not happen? And there's never an answer to that question. What they need is somebody that's not going to go away. And then what do they start to do? They stop focusing on, am I good enough? And they start noticing, wow, I love you, mommy. You're still there. I love you, daddy. And they don't even say you're still there. The focus is on just enjoying the security of the relationship. And then you can stop questioning. And that's why I said exactly what I said, that I want you to have a few people that you don't have to be enough to get them to stay, because they're going to stay because they love you. That's what I want for you. And what you notice in this little, even tiny little example, your brain started to calm down a little bit. And when you do that over and over and over, then the outside world becomes kind of irrelevant because you got your peeps. And as one of my favorite verses says, you've got your heart knitted together with people that love you. And that's a strong, strong, strong place to live life from. That's what I want for you.
True. Okay, thank you.
So do that, and make sure you pick good ones. And we'll go suggest that you read Safe People, or log on to boundaries.me and look at the course there on your people picker and how to pick these people right and get in a good place to do that.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you so much, Dr. Cloud. All right, thank you.
Thank you for your call.